here's how they played it. They have something called the safety committee. All of those first respond entities are on the school safety. Pitch it as safety, and nobody's got guts enough to say, I don't think that's going to improve safety. I said, well, I guess if it's going to help safety, we're for it. And that's how they get their so-called recommendation and support. They're kind of just...
Again, manufacturing consent.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. But he said they're all Florence, multiple fire departments, they're all at this safety meeting or safety committee meeting, and it's just like what you say, they lead them along.
Is this a closed meeting? Can anybody attend? Or is it just the committee members?
We'll see if it's listed.
I don't think there's any meeting other than hiring and firing meetings that's closed. It can be closed to the public. If you never know about it, you're not there. But if you knew about it, you'd say, oh, I'm here to listen in. I want to know what you're spending my money on.
Right.
I think they just say, okay.
So that's not a listed committee. There's Discipline Committee, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, Health, Wellness, Council of Councils, Legislature Committee, Negotiation Committee, Teaching and Learning, Facilities, Transportation, Fees Committee, Calendar, Budget, and Audit Committee. Those are the only committees actually listed here.
They get brought in to this so-called safety meeting. Now, his example was catastrophic events. That's what they told him about. A bus gets run over by a semi, and how do you tell who's who and what to do and all of that. And then he said, and field trips. Gee, I even went on field trips at my age, and we all got home.
How did we function before, Randy?
Well, the badge thing is pretty straightforward. You're right about the scope creep. It just keeps, you started with, well, we're putting these on all the buses. We're just telling when people get on, people get off. But as you say, phase 3 will be, they'll come down the pike and say, it's just, eventually there'll be a reader in every room. There'll be one in the toilet. There'll be.
Well, because that's what a hall pass is to monitor who's going to the bathroom.
Right.
And then where, like you said, where is this information integrated to? Is it being housed in their dashboards? Because the dashboard is the panorama. The panorama that they're...
$80,000 a year.
Yeah, that's the dashboard for the students.
That must have been really expensive. Well, every bus had to have a reader, a GPS, I would think a phone.
Like a Wi-Fi?
Yeah, like a cell phone line for every bus. How else? You can't depend on there being Wi-Fi everywhere the bus is. So the only way to do that is, even the cell phone is not absolute, but it's more likely. So every one of those has a cell phone line, and they're paying for that line.
Well, and the cameras, because she was talking about the cameras today too.
That's a huge amount of data.
Right now, it's on a tape. There's a recording, whatever's happening. So if they need bus 333's tape for this particular day, they have to go and actually physically get it from the bus and go watch it. But what's happening is they're taking other tapes from other buses and putting it in there so that there is one. So if there's a bus just sitting there and it has a tape, they'll put that in there. So it's unorganized. So this new phase is going to take all of those videos and store it on iCloud or the server that's living at the...
She's log into the bus and actually see real time.
5 megabits per bus, megabytes per bus.
It'll also report back how long they've been idle, like if they're sitting somewhere. Like the speed.
How many times their door was open and closed. Like it gives a full report on everything that happened on that bus.
Like how long your red stop sign's been out, how long the yellow is on. It's very micromanaged, like we were talking about.
The Zonar is a big company. The CI is 5 people in a family garage. Everybody's name Cole, C-O-L-E. Everybody's name Cole.
Can't even find any information on the school's website. And I did their search for Zonar, nothing.
I thought, do parents download a Zonar app?
The parents can download a Zonar app to follow the bus.
I downloaded it on my phone, but it didn't work half the time, so I just deleted it.
I never did it because my son, he doesn't ride the bus.
But I noticed that first thing is like these guys, all they do provide you with some software and an encoding printer to make the card. That's all they do.
Interesting.
This is not unique. This seems fakey to me. I would expect every reader on each bus to cost $200 to $400 at least. So that's not it. And there's 100 plus buses, aren't there?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, there would have to be.
Every one of those had to have a reader someplace. So you're saying they already bought that. The question could be, when they bought the Zonar system, they included a reader, letting the school district print and encode the cards. That's all they're doing. Now, buried in the Zonar system, the high-speed data link, if they're sending back video, that's just a lot of data. A real-time video from 200 buses, that's a lot of data. And then this is nothing on that. To get all those grants, somebody's got to spend all their time grant request, solicitation for grants.
ESSER funds. So that's what came out with the COVID money. That is a federal grant. And in those contracts outlined, some of it was masks, whatever. The rest of it was all for technology or infrastructure for technology. And that's what the money is supposed to be spent on.
But I notice half the things on that list are ESSER.
They either use it or lose it. Can only be used for what they say it can be used for, which is the tech or the tech infrastructure. But that's also the money that they got to bribe the teachers to get the shot. That's where that came from, was the ESSER fund.
Unspent COVID funds.
Everything they did in China was the testing ground. When they act like they don't like China, I'm like, what are you talking about? We're the biggest fans of China. All of our stuff comes from, you don't hate China, liars. But that's also the testing ground for everything they've set up globally. It started in China, and now it's everywhere. It's global. All this stuff they're doing with these kids in school, and that's why I told that school bus driver, I said, in China, the kids kept losing their lanyards and cards, so they started making them wear, that's what the kids in China are wearing now, or the vest that has the chip in the vest. And then they just have cameras that scan them as they come in, like they're not scanning a card anymore. There's a sensor in the room that just, as they go by.
Facial recognition, they're doing everything.
That too, yeah. I see all the stuff that's rolling out in China, and then I see it here. We're just a few years behind. It used to be we were about 7 to 8 years behind. Now we're just 2 or 3. It's not much. It's already being implemented without the school board's approval. It's just a formality to get approval from the school board. Where are we going with all this? That's kind of been the theme with everyone I talked to today, is what do we do at this point? Because it's already here. We're behind the 8 ball on everything. It's done.
The CI is just printing up the cards.
Right.
That's all they do. But the Zonar is already a reader on the bus, and nobody knew about that. That was in the...
Right.
I mean, they take that number, the time, and the GPS, since it knows where the bus is, it got GPS, so they say. But somebody's doing software. Is Zonar doing the software for it, or do they actually have the skill, but the people in-house to do this? To integrate, take their number. We know where we know the child is on the bus or left the bus. That's what they say they're starting, which is kind of true, but all that stuff never works just the way you think. You know, what do you do with 2 taps in a row? Which way are they going? Are they coming on or off? So you have to tap going out and tap coming in, right? On the bus, I guess.
Yeah.
I think didn't realize until tonight that these guys really don't mean anything. It's the somewhere in their statement of work and plan and all that is where all this is buried. The real functionality, doing the integration anyway. These people are not doing integration. Well, when I go to the website, see what they do, since there's no statement of work, there's not a statement of work here at all. There's no statement of work. It just says, if boilerplate. If we screw up, it's not our fault. If we get sued, you pay for it. I don't think they can ever, with no consequences. I think we need to ask for the Zonar. We want to see the statement of work, the long-term plan, and the phases.
The phases.
Because that's what guys are just not doing that. It says in this material, some way or another you'll send the numbers to our server, and then you'll log on and use some kind of dashboard off of the internet to see if Charlie was on the bus. And that all looked like, how's that useful if you've got to log into CI? But I don't think you do. I think it's CI is just providing cards, and Zonar is doing all the data.
Right.
So we need to find out how much money we've paid Zonar.
It's a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. They conveniently did not give you that contract.
That is a big contract. Every bus the school doesn't own anything either.
Right.
It's all a lease.
Nice.
So they're gonna have to buy every single year. They're gonna have to
They're gonna
keep
have to
buying.
pay this number plus 3% more each year.
For now, it could be even more than that. A lot of these tech companies know that they have ESSER funding. So a program that cost us $6,000 last year and $6,000 the year before, they suddenly wanted $26,000 this
Yeah.
year for the same program. And I'm like, a lot of you have your master's degree. Why is it you're not creating and housing curriculum for the district? Why are we keeping buying these programs? Like, why at this point are you not doing your own?
With all those PhDs to write it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And they're not even an effective tool.
Right.
But we're spending a ton of money on it.
Well, I was just amazed. That whole agenda was just full of stuff. Like there were at least 3 mental health service contracts.
Yes.
Thinking, how bad do they think our children are? How crazy do they think?
They're causing the problem and then creating the solution.
Right.
Where does that sound familiar?
It's literally all they do to implement all their crazy stuff.
And then there was just a dozen, translator was on there. Rather than using Google Translator for free.
Oh, yes. The app. They want to use an app that's
Lizard
really
or
expensive.
something like
Yeah.
that. That was the one you were telling me was per word, right?
Yeah. She said that one charged 80 cents per word for Hindu. Even if you voted no, it's already implemented.
Right.
It's a done deal. They've already done it. You should all be offended.
But the board has to have enough gumption to say, we're not paying for that because of the way you've done this. But if they don't have the gumption to do that,
So were you able to figure out what capabilities the RFID has for the next phases?
What's a card?
Cards with chips.
you can, well, it will let you know where that card is if it's within 1 inch of a reader, what time and where. Then you have to take that number and then those other 2 fields, time of day and location, go and say, well, who is that? You can do whatever with that, with where they were and anything else they want to put it to. Somebody else is doing the software to tie these databases together.
Algorithms are programmed into the computer to flag certain things.
Those would be easy to do, right?
Right.
And the board will authorize something already been spent.
No, because she said all you have to do is turn on a switch and they have the card readers. They're already installed.
The readers.
They just need the cards.
They need they'll do. That's what you'll get is what you mark immediately. This is phase 2 of the Zonar plan. You are chipping our children to know where they are to eventually do, go down the list. This is what you're eventually going to do where the child is. And you're going to integrate that data. Someone's going to integrate that data and make assumptions about the child based on where they are and other things, their behavior.
Books they check out.
Yeah, right.
So if they did embed sensors in not these set of cards, but the next set of cards that did the long range frequency, would we be able to see that? Or is that something we wouldn't necessarily be able to see if it's in a card?
I think that can be easily hidden by saying we're going to the Gen 2 cards or the Gen whatever, next Gen cards. Make that transition and you would never know it. Somewhere they'd have to buy new readers.
That Zonar report or that contract, will that tell you what they're using? Will that go in that detail?
It will define for you what the reader that was installed with that hardware. That was installed when the Zonar went in.
Along with the cameras.
Yeah. The camera is like, I wonder if that's a backup for facial recognition. Phase 2, and he goes, checks the GPS for you. They know where you live. The other part of it is we know who you are, and we know where you live, and we know how you live. That's the part we're worried about. And when we decide we don't want, I thought that's the only thing. They know who you are. I could think of kids saying, well, my mother told me to get off here and spend the afternoon, or what are they going to do when they know?
Right.
They're not prepared for that. When I read that Zonar, I mean, they're tracking trucks for C.H. Robinson. They're tracking vehicles of all sorts all across the country. This school thing was just a little bitty bit of their business.
Right.
They had at least 20 senior managers and vice presidents. They're a big outfit. I've never heard of it. You ever see on the back of a trailer it says powered by my cloud software. They own that.
Said it would be integrated with Raptor. Attendance data can automatically be sent to your SIS for academic reporting. Students can scan in with physical card or digital ID to record attendance. Parents can self-report their students' attendance status from school. But a Raptor Technologies company,
They bought that too.
that is just Ryle. I wonder if it's going to be in more schools because it didn't say specifically Ryle. Oh, implementation of Zonar program, which was approved in June 2022. High school ties in with Raptor. Signing into school, library, lunch account, added to cards.
The only hope I see is they buy enough disparate systems that they can never get them to work together.
Well, what happens when the systems are down? I guess we go back to old school.